again, everyone always has to think there's more to the story. Well, sometimes there's not. I've seen the autopsy report.
So I did do the request. They emailed me back. He did not go in for an autopsy. The death certificate was signed by the doctor at the hospital.
Of course, it was wedged between the two giant Israeli bodyguards the whole way.
If you want security, the Israelis know what they're doing.
Interview 000/024. Something about this story feels off, and fans are shocked that the loudest part isn't the footage itself, it's the silence around it. Over the last few hours, whispers have been spreading online that a TPUSA cameraman may have access to missing footage from the day everything spiraled, and the moment that rumor hit the timeline, the security story got darker in a way nobody expected. Now, let's be clear, we are not saying any of this is confirmed. We're talking about what people are claiming, what clips are being circulated, and why the internet is suddenly treating this like a reality TV finale nobody can stop rewinding. Because according to these reports, the new angle isn't just what happened, it's who was closest to it, and why the same names keep popping up when the cameras cut away. And that's where Erika Kirk comes back into the conversation, because while everyone else is dissecting those seconds frame by frame, she's allegedly been aiming her frustration at the commentators, the investigators, the people asking questions. Emotions ran high the minute viewers started saying, "Wait, why are we being told to stop digging?" And suddenly, the story stopped being about an incident and became about optics, loyalty, and who benefits from the public moving on. Some fans are claiming the missing seconds aren't an accident. Others say it's just messy internet detective work getting out of control. But then another rumor drops that Erika may still be connected to the same security circle from that day. And if that's even remotely true, you already know what happens next. Friends take sides, supporters go into protection mode, critics get louder, and the family.
Somebody who literally was publicly executed, and there was a detail that was charged with providing security from them. Why, in what world, what reality would you ever be contracting those exact same security?
Was left divided across public opinion. One voice online put it like this: "If nothing is being hidden, why does everything feel edited?" Another fired back: "Stop turning grief into conspiracy." And right there, you can feel the tension, because this isn't just about footage anymore. It's about trust, it's about who you believe, and it's about what happens when the internet smells a cover-up, even if the facts are still foggy. So the question isn't, is it real? The question is, why is this rumor landing so hard right now? And who's about to get exposed by what people think they saw? The rumors didn't start with a headline. They started with screenshots, clipped whispers, and fans asking why the same few seconds kept disappearing every time a new clip surfaced. According to online chatter, people began comparing uploads from different angles, different accounts, and different timelines, and what stood out wasn't what was shown, but what felt missing. Fans are shocked because every version looked almost identical, except for a brief stretch where movement blurred, sound dipped, and reactions felt oddly delayed. None of this proves anything, but it was enough to send comment sections into overdrive. As these reports spread, attention shifted toward the people closest to the cameras that day. Not investigators, not officials, but the crew. Viewers began speculating about a TPUSA cameraman who might have been positioned just far enough away to capture something no one else did. Again, this is based purely on online claims, but fans ran with it. Posts started circulating saying the cameraman had been told to stop recording, others claiming the footage existed but was never released. Emotions ran high as supporters argued back that nothing was being hidden, while critics insisted the silence only made it look worse. In the middle of all this—
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
You retired after 30 years with the Irving, Texas Police Department, and you were a supervisor. 22 years of that was in SWAT. And prior to that, you had 6 years with the U.S. Army Military Police, active duty and reserves.
I had never planned to retire early, but circumstances in my life led to an opportunity to come to Guatemala. And
noise, Erika Kirk's name kept trending, not because she released a statement, but because she didn't. Fans expected grief, anger, or demands for answers, but what they say they saw instead was distance. According to commentary channels, her frustration appeared aimed less at unanswered questions and more at the people asking them. One viral post claimed she wanted everyone to accept the official version and move on. No pauses, no breakdowns, no rewinds. Whether that interpretation is fair or not, it stuck, and once it stuck, the narrative took on a life of its own. People close to the situation, at least according to social media insiders, described a tense atmosphere behind the scenes. Friends were reportedly split between those urging silence and those quietly saying the questions were reasonable. Fans watching from the outside framed it like a reality show standoff, with loyalty on one side and curiosity on the other. The family was left divided in public opinion, even if privately they may have been united in grief. But online, perception matters more than reality, and the perception was that something wasn't lining up. What really fueled the drama were claims about security, not accusations, but comparisons. Viewers slowed footage down, zoomed in, and argued over body language. Some said guards looked confused, others said they followed protocol. One
clip went viral showing a brief hand movement that fans replayed hundreds of times, debating whether it was a signal or just nerves. No one could say for sure, but the debate itself became the story. Fans are shocked by how quickly uncertainty turns into suspicion when answers feel delayed. Then came another layer. Online commentators began pointing out connections, not as proof, but as patterns. The same security names appearing across different events, the same faces in different uniforms, the same explanations repeated word for word. Some fans brushed this off as coincidence.
12 lieutenant colonels. He tells me, you do not see that many people, that many E4s, E5s, E6s. Please, military guys, forgive me for me not knowing what the proper vernacular. But he just goes, what's going on? He's like, you don't see this unless you're at the Pentagon or you're at the White House. He sees that the person that is with him, and he said, certain that the person that is with him.
Others saw it as something worth questioning. Reactions poured in, with one viewer writing that coincidences stop feeling random when they stack up, while another fired back that the internet was inventing villains out of professionals doing their jobs. As the speculation grew louder, Erika's silence grew heavier. People began asking why she wasn't demanding transparency from the same people critics were scrutinizing. Supporters argued she was protecting her peace, while detractors claimed she was protecting others. Neither side had proof, but both sides had feelings, and feelings drive engagement. Emotions ran high as every new upload reignited the argument, pulling in fans who had never followed the story before. Behind the scenes, according to anonymous posts, there were alleged disagreements about how much to share publicly. Some claimed footage existed that was too sensitive. Others said releasing everything would only fuel conspiracy theories. No one could verify these claims, but they fit neatly into the growing storyline of control versus chaos. Fans began framing Erika as a central character, not because she asked to be, but because her reactions, or lack of them, shaped the narrative. What made this even more dramatic was how fast the tone shifted. Early coverage focused on tragedy and sympathy. Later coverage focused on gaps and contradictions. Now, according to these reports, it feels like a tug of war between closure and curiosity. The audience isn't just watching anymore. They're participating, dissecting, debating, and demanding clarity. Every pause, every cut, every delayed response is treated like a clue, even if it's just a coincidence. By the time this wave of commentary settled into a rhythm, one thing was clear in the online space. The story was no longer just about an incident. It was about trust, perception, and who controls the narrative when facts feel incomplete. Fans are shocked not because they know something sinister happened, but because they feel like they're being told not to look too closely. And in the world of viral drama, telling people to stop looking almost guarantees they won't. The rumors didn't begin with an official statement or a breaking news alert. They began quietly, the way these stories always do, with a few scattered comments under unrelated videos and screenshots passed around private chats. Fans noticed that whenever footage from that day resurfaced, something felt incomplete. Not wrong in a clear, provable way, just incomplete enough to make people uneasy. According to online discussions, different uploads showed nearly identical angles, nearly identical reactions, and yet the same brief stretch always felt rushed or blurred. It wasn't enough to accuse anyone of anything, but it was enough to spark curiosity. As the clip circulated, commentator channels began framing it as a mystery of editing rather than an accusation. They stressed that no one was claiming a crime, only pointing out that the presentation of events felt unusually controlled. Fans are shocked at how quickly the conversation shifted from sympathy to suspicion, not because of new facts, but because of repeated patterns. Viewers slowed the videos down, replayed them, and debated whether certain reactions seemed delayed or out of sync. Some insisted this was normal chaos under pressure. Others argued that trained professionals usually move with sharper coordination. In the middle of these debates, attention drifted away from the footage itself and toward the people surrounding it. According to social media chatter, a TPUSA cameraman became a focal point, not because he spoke out, but because people believed he might have seen more than what ended up online. Post claimed he was positioned at an angle others weren't, and that his camera might have captured moments missing from public clips. None of this has been verified, but the idea alone was enough to ignite speculation. Emotions ran high as some fans demanded transparency, while others accused commentators of exploiting tragedy for clicks. Erika Kirk's role in this unfolding narrative became unavoidable, not because she released explosive statements, but because she remained mostly silent on the specific questions gaining traction online. Fans expected her to direct anger towards security failures or demand clearer explanations. Instead,
to how the internet interpreted her behavior, she appeared frustrated with the people analyzing the footage. Supporters defended her fiercely, saying grief doesn't come with obligations to explain anything. Critics pushed back, arguing that silence can speak just as loudly as words when public trust is at stake. Friends and associates, at least as described by anonymous posts, were said to be split on how to handle the growing attention. Some urged Erika to disengage completely and let the noise burn itself out. Others allegedly felt that addressing the questions head-on might calm the storm. The family was left divided in public perception, even if privately they were united by loss. Fans watching from afar treated these rumored disagreements like scenes from a reality show, picking sides and projecting motives onto people they had never met. What intensified the drama were comparisons between this situation and other high-profile incidents. Viewers pointed out how quickly full timelines and explanations were released in past cases, contrasting that with what they felt was a slower, more guarded approach here. Again, no one could prove intent, but the contrast fueled more debate. Reactions flooded in from all angles, with some fans saying patience was necessary, and others insisting that unanswered questions create their own damage. Security became the most emotionally charged topic, not because of confirmed mistakes, but because of how the footage looked to untrained eyes. Commentators emphasized that body language can be misleading, especially under stress, yet fans couldn't stop analyzing it. One moment in particular kept resurfacing, a small gesture that viewers replayed endlessly, arguing over whether it meant anything at all. For some, it was nothing more than a nervous reflex. For others, it symbolized everything they felt was off about the response. As the days passed, the narrative expanded beyond footage and gestures into perceived connections. Online sleuths compiled lists of names they claimed appeared repeatedly across different events. They framed this not as proof, but as context. Supporters dismissed it as coincidence, saying professionals often work the same circuits. Critics countered that patterns deserve scrutiny. Emotions ran high in comment sections, as accusations of paranoia clashed with accusations of blind loyalty. Through it all, Erika's silence remained a central talking point. Every time she spoke about moving forward or shutting down speculation, it was interpreted through opposing lenses. Fans who sympathized saw a woman protecting her mental health. Those who questioned saw someone avoiding uncomfortable topics. Neither side could claim certainty, but both sides felt deeply invested. The story, according to many viewers, stopped being about what happened and became about who controls the narrative afterward. By this point, the online conversation had taken on its own momentum. Even people unfamiliar with the original incident were being pulled in by the drama surrounding it. Creators framed it as a cautionary tale about perception in the digital age, where gaps, delays, and silence can be transformed into suspicion overnight. Fans are shocked at how quickly uncertainty turns into a storyline, especially when emotions are raw and trust feels fragile. What stands out most in this phase of the story is not evidence, but atmosphere. A sense that something unresolved lingers in the background, not because of confirmed wrongdoing, but because clarity feels incomplete. Viewers aren't claiming to know the truth. They're reacting to how the truth is presented, edited, and discussed. And once that feeling takes hold, it becomes almost impossible to shake, setting the stage for even deeper drama as the conversation continues to evolve. As the conversation deepened, the tone online shifted from curiosity to confrontation. Fans weren't just watching anymore. They were arguing with each other in real time, drawing lines between belief and doubt. According to multiple commentary streams, what intensified emotions was the sense that questions were being discouraged rather than answered. Viewers began quoting the same phrases again and again, saying it felt like a script everyone was expected to follow. Accept the explanation, move on, stop digging. And for a certain segment of the audience, that messaging alone became the problem. Supporters of Erika pushed back hard. They reminded everyone that grief does not require public performance, and that no one owes strangers a breakdown or an investigation.
Friends and family reactions were cited by fan pages claiming that Erika had already endured enough and that online speculation only added to the pain. Emotions ran high on both sides, with some accusing commentators of turning tragedy into content, while others accused defenders of confusing compassion with censorship. The family was left divided in public opinion, not because of statements made,
but because of statements not made. According to reports circulating on social platforms, tension also spilled into private circles. Alleged messages, never verified, suggested disagreements about strategy and silence. Some voices were said to be urging a calm, unified front, while others felt the lack of transparency was backfiring. Again, none of this can be confirmed, but it matched what fans thought they were seeing unfold in public. The story began to feel less like an incident and more like a standoff, with each side waiting for the other to blink. Security discussions grew louder and more detailed. Viewers compared reaction times, positioning, and communication gestures across clips. Commentators were careful to say they were not experts, only observers, yet the analysis kept coming. One widely shared claim suggested that the formation appeared to change moments before chaos erupted. Another insisted the team looked exactly like trained professionals responding under pressure. Fans are shocked at how the same footage can support completely opposite interpretations depending on who is watching. What kept the debate alive were the alleged inconsistencies. According to online chatter, some clips seemed cropped differently, with audio fading in and out at similar moments. Critics said this looked intentional. Defenders said it was normal compression and reposting artifacts. The argument looped endlessly, with neither side convincing the other. Reactions from creators ranged from cautious skepticism to outright frustration, with many reminding viewers that speculation does not equal proof. The cameraman rumor refused to die. Every few days, a new post would claim insider knowledge, saying the footage existed but was locked away, or that it had been reviewed and deemed too sensitive. None of these claims came with evidence, but the repetition gave them weight. Fans began treating the cameraman like a silent character in a drama, someone whose unseen perspective could supposedly change everything. Emotions ran high as people imagined what that angle might show, even though no one could say for sure. As this narrative spread, Erika's responses, when they did appear, were dissected word by word. When she spoke about healing, some heard deflection. When she criticized online speculation, others heard fear. Supporters argued that any response would be twisted anyway, so silence was the safest option. Critics countered that silence allowed rumors to grow unchecked. The family was left divided across timelines and comment sections, with empathy and suspicion colliding in uncomfortable ways. Another layer emerged as fans began discussing relationships and proximity, not accusations, but optics. People asked why certain professional connections appeared to remain intact after the incident. Defenders said continuity is normal and practical. Critics said optics matter, especially when trust is fragile. Again, no one could prove intent, but the questions themselves became content, feeling streams, reaction videos, and endless debates. The emotional stakes grew higher as creators framed the situation like a reality TV arc. Alliances formed, betrayals were implied. Every post was treated like a confessional scene. Fans are shocked at how quickly serious conversations morph into entertainment when the internet gets involved. Some viewers stepped back, saying the discourse had gone too far. Others leaned in, convinced that collective scrutiny was the only path to clarity. According to online sentiment trackers shared by fan accounts, engagement spiked every time the phrase "missing footage" appeared. It didn't matter whether the post was debunking or amplifying the rumor. The phrase itself pulled people in. That alone suggested the story had shifted from facts to feelings. People weren't chasing truth anymore. They were chasing resolution, an ending that made sense of the discomfort they felt watching the clips. Through all of this, official explanations remained largely unchanged, at least from what was publicly available. Commentators noted the contrast between the static nature of official statements and the evolving nature of online theories. One creator said it felt like two separate stories unfolding at once, one frozen in time and the other spiraling outward. Fans are shocked at how far apart those stories feel, even if they are supposedly describing the same event. By this stage, the conversation had hardened into camps. Some believed the internet was doing what it always does, overanalyzing and inflating gaps into conspiracies. Others believed the questions were fair and overdue. Neither side seemed willing to move without new information. The unresolved tension became the hook, the thing that kept people watching and talking. What makes this phase of the story so volatile is that nothing new has technically happened, yet everything feels like it has changed. Perception has shifted, trust has been tested, and silence, whether intentional or not, has become part of the narrative.
Viewers aren't claiming certainty. They're reacting to the emotional whiplash of being told to care deeply one moment and to stop asking questions the next. And once that contradiction settles in, it keeps the drama alive, pulling the audience deeper into a story that refuses to settle. The longer this dragged on, the more the story started to feel less like an investigation and more like a pressure cooker. Fans weren't just reacting to clips anymore, they were reacting to each other. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds, where every sentence was treated like evidence of intent. Some accused others of being heartless, while others fired back that empathy doesn't mean blind acceptance. Emotions ran high as the audience split into camps, each convinced they were protecting the truth in their own way. According to ongoing commentary, one of the most unsettling elements for viewers was the sense of repetition. The same explanations, the same reassurances, the same calls to move forward. For supporters, that consistency meant stability. For critics, it meant avoidance. Fans are shocked at how a single phrase like "nothing more to see here" can trigger opposite reactions depending on who hears it. What some interpreted as closure, others saw as a wall. As days turned into weeks, online creators began reframing the narrative again, not as a mystery to be solved, but as a study in optics. They emphasized that optics don't require wrongdoing to cause damage. Perception alone can fracture trust. Viewers were reminded that in the age of viral media, silence is rarely neutral. Even choosing not to respond becomes a statement, whether intended or not. This framing resonated deeply, especially with audiences familiar with reality TV dynamics, where what isn't said often matters more than what is. The alleged behind-the-scenes dynamics became another focal point. Anonymous posts claimed that conversations were happening privately that contradicted the calm tone presented publicly. None of these claims could be verified, but they fed into the growing belief that there were layers the audience wasn't meant to see. Fans began speculating about emotional strain, disagreements, and unspoken resentment. The family was left divided in the court of public opinion, with some viewers sympathizing deeply and others feeling increasingly disconnected. Security questions resurfaced with renewed intensity. Commentators revisited the same moments but with different emotional framing. Instead of asking what went wrong, they asked why the response looked the way it did. Was it confusion, shock, or something else entirely? Professionals weighed in cautiously, reminding viewers that real-life emergencies rarely look clean or coordinated. Yet those reminders didn't fully quiet the speculation. Fans are shocked by how instinctively people search for meaning in chaos, especially when footage is replayed endlessly. The rumored cameraman footage continued to hover like a ghost over the conversation. Even without proof, its imagined existence shaped expectations. Viewers spoke about it as if it were inevitable, something that would eventually surface and change everything. Others warned that building hope around unseen footage only guaranteed disappointment. Still, the idea refused to fade. It became symbolic, representing all the answers people felt they were missing. Erika's presence in the narrative remained complicated. When she appeared calm, critics saw detachment. When she appeared frustrated, critics saw deflection. Supporters argued that no response would ever satisfy everyone, and that picking apart her reactions was unfair. Emotions ran high as both sides accused the other of projecting motives. What once felt like a straightforward story now felt deeply personal to thousands of strangers, each bringing their own expectations and experiences into the discussion. Another shift occurred when creators began questioning the role of platforms themselves. Some suggested that algorithms reward controversy and keep unresolved stories alive longer than resolved ones. Others argued that the audience bears responsibility for amplifying speculation. This meta-conversation added yet another layer, turning the story inward. Fans started asking whether they were witnessing manipulation or participating in it. Throughout this phase, the lack of new concrete information paradoxically fueled engagement. Every pause was filled with interpretation. Every unchanged statement was treated as confirmation of something unsaid. Fans are shocked at how quickly uncertainty becomes narrative when timelines stretch and emotions remain raw. Some viewers admitted they no longer knew what they believed, only that the situation felt wrong in ways they couldn't articulate. Private grief and public curiosity continued to collide. Some voices pleaded for compassion, reminding everyone that real people were involved. Others insisted that compassion and accountability aren't opposites. The family was left divided in perception, even as they likely navigated their reality away from screens. This disconnect between lived experience and online storytelling became one of the most uncomfortable aspects of the drama. By now, the story had evolved far beyond its starting point. It wasn't just about footage, security, or silence. It was about how narratives form, how trust erodes, and how audiences respond when they sense gaps. Viewers weren't demanding answers as much as they were demanding acknowledgement of their questions. The feeling that concerns were being dismissed hurt more than any lack of detail. What keeps people watching at this stage isn't the hope of a reveal, but the tension itself. The unresolved nature of the situation has become its own hook. Fans are shocked at how something so ambiguous can feel so emotionally charged. And as long as that charge remains, the conversation refuses to die, pulling everyone involved, willingly or not, deeper into a story shaped as much by perception as by reality. By the time the discussion reached this stage, exhaustion began to mix with obsession. Some viewers admitted they wanted closure, not because they believed something explosive would be revealed, but because the constant tension was draining. Others said the lack of resolution was exactly why they couldn't look away. Fans are shocked at how a story built mostly on interpretation can hold attention longer than one built on hard facts. It became clear that the drama was no longer being driven by events, but by reactions to reactions. Online creators started talking about fatigue openly. They noted how audiences swing between outrage and empathy, sometimes within the same comment thread. One moment people demanded answers, the next they scolded others for demanding too much. Emotions ran high as frustration replaced curiosity. Some fans accused commentators of dragging the story out for views, while others accused critics of trying to bury uncomfortable questions. The argument wasn't about right or wrong anymore. It was about who got to decide when the conversation should end. Erika's position in all of this remained the most emotionally charged element. According to ongoing commentary, her insistence on moving forward was interpreted in radically different ways. For supporters, it was strength. For critics, it was avoidance. Neither interpretation could be proven, yet both shaped the narrative. The family was left divided in how the public saw them, with empathy and suspicion existing side by side, often in the same breath. What added to the unease was how normalized the situation began to feel. Weeks of discussion turned extraordinary claims into background noise. Viewers who once reacted strongly now scrolled past updates with a resigned curiosity. Fans are shocked at how quickly outrage cools into routine, even when questions remain unanswered. This normalization didn't mean people stopped caring. It meant they learned to live with uncertainty. Some commentators suggested that this might be the most realistic outcome. Not a dramatic reveal, not a confession, but a slow fading of intensity as attention moves elsewhere. Others pushed back, saying unresolved stories have a way of resurfacing when least expected. This disagreement itself kept the drama alive, with one side arguing for acceptance and the other for persistence. Emotions ran high whenever someone suggested it was time to let go. Security discussions eventually lost their sharp edges, not because they were resolved, but because they had been exhausted. Every angle had been analyzed, every gesture debated. Viewers began acknowledging that footage alone could never provide definitive answers. Yet the discomfort remained, rooted not in what was seen, but in what was never addressed directly. Fans are shocked at how silence can linger longer than any clip. The cameraman rumor, once so central, slowly transformed into a symbol rather than a claim. It came to represent all the unseen angles, all the questions left hanging. Even skeptics admitted that the idea of missing perspective resonated emotionally, regardless of its truth. It wasn't about believing the footage existed, it was about believing that perspective matters. As the noise settled into a steady hum, the broader lesson of the situation became harder to ignore. Online audiences don't just consume stories, they complete them. When information feels partial, imagination fills the gaps. When responses feel controlled, suspicion grows. None of this requires wrongdoing, only distance between what people expect and what they receive. The family was left divided not by facts, but by narratives formed in that distance. Some fans began reflecting on their own role in the drama. A few admitted they were projecting fears about authority, transparency, and trust onto a situation they couldn't
fully understand. Others rejected that idea, insisting skepticism is healthy. This self-awareness didn't end the debate, but it softened it. Emotions ran high less often, replaced by a quieter, more uneasy curiosity. By now, the story had settled into an unresolved ending. Not a cliffhanger, but an open space where certainty never arrived. People stopped waiting for a single moment that would change everything and started accepting that this might be all there was. Fans are shocked at how unsatisfying that realization feels, especially in a culture conditioned to expect clear villains and clear answers. What remains is a lingering question about trust. Not trust in one person or one explanation, but trust in how stories are managed, shared, and closed. Viewers aren't demanding drama anymore. They're questioning process. They're asking why some narratives are wrapped up neatly, while others are left frayed at the edges. That question extends far beyond this situation, tapping into a broader discomfort many people already carry. In the end, this didn't become the explosive revelation some expected. It became something quieter and more unsettling, a reminder that not every story resolves cleanly, and that silence can be interpreted in countless ways. The audience may eventually move on, but the impression lingers, shaped by unanswered questions and emotional investment. And even if nothing more ever comes out, the discussion itself has already left its mark, proving that in the digital age, perception can be just as powerful as proof. Now it's your turn. After hearing all of this, you have to ask yourself one thing. Does this whole situation sit right with you, or does it feel like there are still too many gaps being ignored? You've seen how fans are shocked, how emotions ran high, and how the silence itself became part of the story. Some people believe this is just internet speculation spiraling out of control. Others feel these reports deserve real attention, even if nothing is officially confirmed. Both sides are watching the same clips, reading the same posts, and yet walking away with completely different conclusions. This is where you come in. If you were in Erika's position, would you shut everything down and protect your peace, or would you push for more transparency just to quiet the noise? Do you think the focus on missing footage and security optics is unfair, or do you think those questions are natural when answers feel incomplete? There's no single right reaction, and that's exactly why this conversation hasn't stopped. If this story made you pause, rewind, or rethink what you thought you knew, hit that like button so more people can weigh in. If you want to stay updated as more commentary, reactions, and reports surface around stories like this, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. And most importantly, drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the internet is reading too much into this, or do you believe the silence is what's really fueling the drama? You don't have to take sides, but your perspective matters. Every comment adds another layer to how this story is understood. Share this video with friends who follow these stories closely, and see if they feel the same way you do. Because whether this turns out to be nothing more than online noise or something that deserves deeper discussion, one thing is clear: people aren't ready to stop asking questions yet, and your voice is part of that conversation.